What's up everyone, No BS Audio, and today we're taking a look at the AKG K371s. This is not a sponsored video. I bought these with my own money about a year and a half ago, and I've been using them off and on since then. These are designed to be fairly accurate to the Harman curve. Now the Harman curve is an experiment that was done. It was a test with a lot of different participants, primarily people who weren't really, into hi-fi or audiophiles or anything like that, just kind of average people. And the goal of the test was to see what they enjoyed listening to out of a bunch of different sound profiles. They took all of that data, they averaged it all together, and then they came up with something that we now call the Harman curve. And they keep to this standard pretty closely. There is some deviation. They're not 100% perfect to that curve, but they do a very good job of coming very close to what the Harman curve is supposed to sound like. Now, if you listen to a lot of audiophiles, people in hi-fi, or just various reviewers, some people say that they absolutely hate these because they have too much bass. And that's a lot of what it comes down to. Part of it is that they feel that they have too much bass, and part of it is really AKG's own fault with marketing these as studio headphones, which they just aren't. They have no business being in a studio for any kind of actual, professional usage. These are much more of a casual listening type of use headphone. I just don't trust these because if I make something sound good on these headphones, whether or not it's going to sound good on a variety of different speakers and, your phone and stuff like that, there's just too much inconsistency. So that's really a lot of where the hate comes from with these. On the other side of that, there is just the preference side. And like I said, these are headphones that were designed to be pleasant to listen to by most people. That's most of what you need to know about these going in. I would say if you're looking to get a pair of headphones, you're trying to move away from what I would call your Best Buy headphones. You got your wireless Sonys, you got your Bose, you got your Beats. If you're trying to get away from those and get something that's going to be a wired headphone that's a little bit more clear and has some more detail, these are a really good next step. When you're looking at getting into nice headphones, I think that if you were to go from something let's say it's a Beats, Studio, whatever they're doing now, if you were to get those and you had said, oh, okay, your Beats suck, I'm going to get something else. If you get Sennheiser HD600s and you spend $200 on a dedicated DAC and an amp, I think that you're not really going to appreciate those in the same way because you're so used to hearing music with so much bass and with a certain presentation. These are a good kind of middle way to get into something that's wired, something that is a little bit more accurate, but not completely the other direction. HD 600s have fairly weak low bass. They're very flat, from the mid-range to the treble and everything, but it's a commonly known fact. Those don't have a lot of bass. These are more of I would consider it to be more of a mature boost in the bass. And honestly, the thing that drew me to them initially was that I feel that they reproduce bass guitars extremely well. Bass sounds good on these. It's not so bloated and over the top that like your Skull Candy Crushers, where it's just insane and it's just a crazy amount of added bass. These have good bass reproduction that doesn't run into the mid-range and kind of destroy everything else that you're hearing. I would say whether or not you're going to like these really depends on the kind of music that you listen to. One of the first songs that I heard on these that made me go, wow, this is really impressive, was Krongbin. They have this song that I can't pronounce that's in French, but the bass just it had so much depth. It sounded so much like I was listening to bass in a room. When bass is well recorded, they come through extremely well on these. The mid-range is fairly flat. It's consistent. Vocals don't sound, super veiled or anything like that. But there's not a lot of detail overall though. And in treble, I have some issues with that. I do find these to be a little bit harsh, a little bit sharp at times. No, I'm very sensitive to harsh and sharp sounds. It's probably my least favorite thing. So whether or not you have the same experience is you're probably not as sensitive as I am. but it's worth saying. The main thing I can say about these is that I think that AKG put together a good package. I mean, they knew what they were doing. I think that these were marketed poorly. These are not studio monitor headphones, and they shouldn't be used like that. They did have some quality control issues when these were out. I don't know how long it took them to sort that out, but you'll see tons of negative reviews about these not being built well. Like I said, I've had these for a year and a half. They feel stable. You know, the hinges stay in place. There's good metal use throughout these. Most of what the issues that people were having were down to these hinges, which are I guess arguably a little bit more fashionable than functional, but they ironed out the issues that they were having. I also really like that you can take these and you can just put one ear cup up. That's really nice. If somebody says something to you, you can just flip an ear cup and then just click them back down. I think that's a really cool feature. The other really nice thing is that they have 3 different cables. They have a really long one. I think this is like 9 feet or something. I couldn't find the sizes online. And then those screw into a 1/4 inch adapter. If you wanted to use these with like a headphone amp or something like that, it's really easy, and this is a really secure solution. You get a short cable that you can use with your phone, and then you get this springy boy, which I honestly don't use very much because it likes to curly cue around and kind of touch your neck. But it's nice that it's in the box. You can run these off of a phone, no problem. You don't really need a headphone amp. I am no authority when it comes to DACs and amps at this time. I don't have enough experience, and I couldn't tell you a lot about the differences, but something that I've heard a lot of other people say is that these are not very amp dependent, and you're going to be totally fine if you just want to use these with a laptop or something like that. They isolate a decent amount of sound out. I find them to be very comfortable. They have these nice memory foam pads and kind of this, I think it's a faux leather on here, and I find them to be very comfortable for use for long periods of time. My only complaint in terms of comfort is that they get a little bit warm over time, but that's pretty much a thing that you're going to experience with any faux leather pad. So yeah, I mean, overall, I think that these are a great option. If you know somebody that wants to get something that's an affordable option that's going to be wired, that's going to be a little bit more pleasant to listen to, a little bit more detailed than a lot of your mainstream options, I think these are a great gateway into the audio world. Overall, if you like the style of these, you like that they come with the 3 cables, and you want something that you can use with any device, these are going to be a pretty awesome option. I've enjoyed them for the time that I've used them, and I know that audiophiles are not going to like these for their reasons, but I just think that people are being too negative and really exaggerating the problems that these have. You might find out that you really like the Harman curve, you might find out that you don't. Audio is about listening to what you enjoy. There's not a right and wrong way to do that. I think that these are worth a shot if you have interest in them and they check the right boxes for you. With all that said, I'm No BS Audio, and I will see you soon.